All right, welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Wednesday, the 21st of December. Good to have you aboard. Just a few days away from Christmas. We got the holiday weekend coming up, and we're still doing shows. We're still doing shows next week. Christmas is this Sunday, so yeah, I don't think we're taking any days off. So, see, that's also a big difference from doing the podcast when we used to do terrestrial radio. I would have to take off. I would have to make sure I get in all my vacation days, before the end of the year. So the week of Christmas or next week, I would probably be off the entire week. Got to use up those days, use them or lose them. Well, now that's not the scenario, right? If we need to take vacation days, we'll take vacation days when we need to do it. They're not going to run out. My ZASLOW Show 2.0 vacation days don't run out. So I can take those vacation days whenever I want. It's not use them or lose them. So we are going to do some vacation in the beginning of January. Actually, we're going skiing, taking the family skiing. That's going to be great. But next week, you're off for Christmas break, for the holiday break. And you're like, oh man, my favorite shows, they're all off this week. Nuh-uh. ZASLOW Show 2.0, we're going to be all revved up and ready to go next week. No days off, and especially because Christmas is this Sunday. We're going to do the show Monday through Friday. No problem right there. So there you go. A little house cleaning. You know what to expect for next week. ZASLOW Show 2.0, always presented by our title sponsor, Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. 800-747-FREE. If you're dealing with any type of personal injury, you've had an accident, no matter what it is, slip and fall, motorcycle, bike, car accident, you get an attorney on the phone right away when you call Anidjar and Levine. 800-747-FREE. That's 3733. They're going to take care of you. Let them worry about all the extracurricular stuff, getting you the money that you deserve while you get healthy and you get better. Again, you're dealing with any kind of personal injury, I send you to Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys because I know they're going to take care of you. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. So last night, I went to the Heat game. Second time this year. All right, going as a fan. Had great seats last night. Sat we were a couple rows up right next to the Heat bench. Behind the basket, right next to the Heat bench, couple rows up. And, I mean, look, it's you guys know this, so I feel kind of stupid when I say it, but it is worth saying it. The broadcast location, when I used to be on the broadcast for 12 years, were located at the very top, center court, at the very top of the lower level, And, I mean, what a vantage point. Like, awesome way to watch a game, and the perfect way to call the game because you can kind of see everything. Now, they used to be on the floor many years ago, the broadcast, and some arenas still do on the floor, but you used to be on the floor. And so I was practically on the floor last night. We were watching the game, I mean, as close as you can be. And like I said, I don't need to really tell you this. You guys know this. What a difference when you're so close to the action. I mean, you could see not just how big the guys are, but just how physical the game is. And there's little stuff happening there that you wouldn't notice otherwise. You certainly don't notice on television. You wouldn't notice if you're sitting, even just regular seats. You're sitting so close to the, like if you ever have the opportunity to sit so close to the floor, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a different experience when you're that close. So we had a lot of fun last night, except the game stunk. The Heat did not play well. The Heat had a great stretch in the second quarter, highlighted by like a 15-4 run. But they were down big in the first quarter and then went ice cold in the third quarter in the second half. And Chicago was up, I think, 12 going into the fourth quarter. They led by as many as 19 at one point. I had to get out of there. The Heat went down by 19. There was like 4 minutes left. Turned to my side. Yo, we're getting out of here. So we had to go. And the Heat wind up losing 113-103. What a difference, by the way. And I've told you guys this before. Oh my God, when I was a kid, the Heat can be down by 30. And granted, when I was a kid, they were down by 30 plenty. Those are some bad Heat teams. Late 80s, early 90s. The first few years of the team. And my dad could turn to me, there's 2 minutes left in the game, the Heat are down by 20 points. Hey, let's get out of here. Nope. When the clock hits 0, I don't go anywhere. When I was a kid, man, we would go to the games, Miami Arena. What an arena. We would be at the games. Not only do we never leave games early, no matter what the score, there's no chance I'm leaving early. But also, in the middle of the game, my dad, it's for me, hey, let's go get some food. Let's go get something to eat. I'll try to go, no, I'm not here to eat. I'm here to watch the game. I would never miss a second of the action. I don't need to eat anything, all right? Maybe they could bring the food to me sitting right here, but I'm not getting up. I'm not missing any of the game. I'm here for the game. I mean, you couldn't get me to miss a second of the action when I was a kid. So different now. Everyone goes through it, right? Every adult goes through what I just told you. I'm not the only one as a kid. You don't want to miss any of the action. Although I was like super extreme when it came to that kind of stuff. But now, if we got a chance to get out of there with a few minutes left so I can hit that parking lot before everybody else is getting out of there, beat a little bit of the traffic, we'll do that. Now I'm not talking about leaving when it's a 4, 5, 6 point game. But like last night, they're down by 19. We got to get out of here. And the food situation, back then, I'm not getting up from my seat. Now, I'll get up. I'll go wait in line to get a drink at the bar. I'll miss 5 minutes of game. I don't care. I got to get a drink. I want to have something to drink. Which, by the way, is a new experience for me, of course, because this is the second game I've been to this year. And, yeah, being at the games, and, not even just being at the games, but watching a Heat game, period, while having an adult beverage. Because, back before I'm on the broadcasting arena, I got an adult beverage. Mike Inglis or Jason Jackson, they're going to look at me with the side eye. Hey, you can't be sipping on a bourbon right now. We're on the air. So even when I'm broadcasting from home, because for the last few years I was doing the road games from the ZASLOW Mansions Network studios, I obviously, I could have had an adult beverage. No one would have known. But I didn't because I'm a professional. So a day like yesterday where I'm sitting in the stands, it's not just being at the game with a drink. It's just watching the Heat game with a drink. I like having a beer during the Dolphin game. Certainly during Panther games, you got to drink this year because they're back to being the Florida Panthers. They're not any good anymore. They're back to being the Panthers. So you got to have a drink. You have to drink when you watch the Panther games. But I would never. This is the first time. These two games last night, first time in over a dozen years, I get to enjoy myself a little beverage. So we had a good time. I especially like, and this stuff probably sounds stupid to you guys also because you all get to do this. I like being able to stand up and cheer at the Heat games. It's fun. Get to stand up and yell if I want. I don't do too much yelling. I don't want to make a fool of myself. But get to stand up. There was one play, coolest play of the game last night, and there just weren't enough of them. But coolest play of the game last night, I think it was the third quarter. The Heat were down. Maybe it was the second quarter. And Haywood Highsmith, which the Heat love Haywood Highsmith. And he's turned into a valuable player. And he got to play a ton last night. Now, he plays anyway, but he got to play a ton last night because of the injury situation and diarrhea. And we'll get to that. But Haywood Highsmith, the Heat missed a shot. Haywood Highsmith came from behind, stole the ball, which he always gets the steals. Passed it up top to Tyler Hero, in rhythm, shoots the three, buries it. But that's one of those deals where I got to stand up while Tyler was shooting the ball, and I was excited when it went in. I haven't gotten to do anything like that in, a dozen years. I don't get to be at the game and cheer like that. So I really do appreciate that. I obviously miss doing the Heat games, but there's also a part of me, I think ZASLOW Show 2.0, I think this venture is going to be successful. And that, of course, is due to the listeners, due to you guys, and, of course, due to my current sponsors and my soon-to-be sponsors. I think it's going to wind up being successful. But nonetheless, I do miss doing those Heat games. And one thing I don't miss, though, is not being able to get into it and cheer and that kind of deal. Not that I ever had to hold back because I didn't. Those guys were all so good to me and letting me, react the way I want to react. But certainly wasn't able to stand up. I mean, there were a few times where Ruth Riley Hunter had to hold me back because if there's a big dunk, you got to hold the person back who's next to you. We have to hold each other back. So I'm going to run on the floor if there's a big dunk, big play. I'm going to run on the floor and so, but you got to hold me back sometimes, But otherwise, I enjoyed last night because I like the experience again. I haven't been able to have that experience. I did not enjoy the game. Game stunk. So the Heat lose last night. You had the one good stretch there really in the second quarter, and the rest of the game was a struggle. So I also feel like an idiot because yesterday, a good portion of ZASLOW Show 2.0 was, hey, we're about to find out if the Heat are about that business, right? About to find out. 4-game win streak. And I sat here and told you, You know, going into the road trip, it's unrealistic, but they got to win all 4 of these games. And they did. Okay. And ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question yesterday, and I was overwhelmingly overruled. I felt like my opinion of the Heat had changed after the road trip. I felt, all right, they're turning a corner. You guys did not feel that way. Almost 70% of the vote came down to they just beat shit teams. I thought they were turning the corner. I think you go 4-0 on a road trip no matter who you're playing. It's still NBA teams. You go 4-0 on a road trip no matter who you're playing. I think that's impressive. And now you're coming home for a homestand against, not exactly top-notch competition. Chicago, who is struggle city, 7 games under 500 going into last night, infighting in the team. Zach Levine, he may want out. I would love for the Heat to get their hands on him. Indiana, Minnesota, and then the Los Angeles Lakers, who are going to be without Anthony Davis. And I also told you yesterday, they're also going to be without LeBron because they're playing the second night of a back-to-back. They're in Orlando the night before that. That's a disclaimer for folks who are looking to buy tickets. Maybe you get your kid a Christmas gift, see LeBron and the Lakers come to play the Heat. I don't think LeBron's going to play. Buyer beware. That's up to you. You take the gamble. Don't say I didn't tell you so. And then going into these 4 games, it's a lot to ask for. They should have an 8-game winning streak coming out of it. Well, that is over with before it got started. So I told you, and I feel like an idiot again. I told you we're going to find out if the Heat are about that business, and we have found out that they are not about that business. All right? The Heat, right from the get-go, they lose the first game of the homestand. They lose to a team that has been struggling. And, the Heat defense stinks. It stunk most of the season. The Heat 3-point shooting stinks. And holy shit, like last night's the kind of game, you're without Butler, you're without Lowry, you're without Caleb Martin. The Caleb Martin part, it's like, that's not that big a deal. But and I like Caleb Martin, that's what I'm saying. But like Haywood Highsmith, if Haywood Highsmith's giving you 18 points, they wasted the Haywood Highsmith performance last night is essentially what it comes down to. Like, I was there also with a friend of mine, and I told, I was like, Haywood Highsmith, they like him, man. He's a good player. And he hit a 3 early on in the game, which at the time gave him like 7 points. And I told my buddy, I go, you get any points from Haywood Highsmith, that's a bonus. They don't expect anything from him. And then I look up and he had 7 at this point. Well, he finished with 18. He was 4 for 4 from 3, Haywood Highsmith. 7 to 10 overall, but 4 for 4 from 3. And they wasted the Haywood Highsmith game because you're not usually going to get anything from him on the offensive end. But he always gets you a couple steals. He's a terrific defender, really good hands. I like watching him play. I know there's a part of the Heat fan base that is kind of tired of the whole, no first round picks, developing players, that kind of deal. Because it's kind of landed the Heat where they are right now, where they're super middling this year. But Haywood Highsmith feels like that next guy. Obviously super young, but great defender already. They need that on this team. And even if the offense has come, the 3-point shooting, he was 4 for 4 last night, but the 3-point shooting, that will wind up coming. So I like watching Haywood Highsmith out there. And you got a great performance from Bam. He had 27 points, 12 rebounds. He was 12 of 15. Hero was fine. Got to a very slow start, but Hero was fine. He had 19. He was 7 of 16 overall, 4 for 11 from 3. But the game was lost on the defensive end for sure, and also behind the 3-point line. Now, you can look at the Heat 3-point shooting last night. It wasn't terrible overall. They knocked down a few threes late in the game. It didn't really matter. But 2 of your starters last night, in place of Lowry and Butler, or the Heat were without 3 starters, but 2 of your starters last night, in place of Lowry and Butler, which we'll get to in a second, Max Strus and Victor Oladipo, awful. Awful. No other way to sum it up. The 2 of them from 3, and I hate seeing Victor Oladipo chuck up the threes, man. I wish, and look, you got to give Oladipo a little bit of time, but I wish he would drive to the basket more on a night like last night. His mid-range jumper is usually pretty solid. You can use that. The 3-point shooting between Strus and Oladipo last night, 3 of 15. Can't win like that. They were terrible. Strus and Oladipo combined for 3 for 15 from 3. You can't win like that. And so then you get to Lowry, who was questionable, and Butler, who was probable. So we'll start with Butler here, okay? Game starts, like we got there right at tip-off. Traffic is so bad, oh my God. So game starts, and I see Butler's not in the lineup. I point to him, I'm like, Butler's not in the lineup. And he wasn't on the bench either. Like, Caleb Martin's on the bench, Lowry's on the bench in his Messi jersey. And where's Jimmy? And I'm like, yeah, Jimmy's not always on the bench, when he's hurt. He a lot of times will get treatment or just whatever. He's not on the bench all the time when he's not playing. And my buddy thought that was weird. Well, as it turns out, it's because he had diarrhea. He was out with gastro. He had diarrhea. And so he apparently was at shoot-around yesterday, even though he wasn't feeling well. He woke up with a stomach problem. It wound up keeping him out. Okay, that's fine. Did he get something from Mexico City? Like, I see that online, that maybe he ate something in Mexico City. Although, can that be possible where, unless it had been bothering him for a few days and he was still not over it? Because I thought I read that he woke up with the stomach issue on Tuesday morning. Because if that's the case, we're talking about Saturday to Tuesday from something he ate Saturday in Mexico City. I have to imagine that the team flew back after the game on Saturday. It was a 5 p.m. game. You figure they flew back, didn't stay overnight in Mexico City. So 3 days later, 3 mornings later, we're talking about he's got a stomach issue from something he ate in Mexico City. Can that be true? But anyway, Jimmy was out last night with diarrhea. Completely understandable. So when Jimmy's out because of diarrhea, why can't Lowry play? Like Lowry, okay, it's a scheduled day off, which I got a problem with the scheduled day off anyway, because the Heat are not exactly in a position where they should be scheduling days off. They're a game over 500 going into last night. They're a game over 500. They've won 4 in a row. They got a chance to get this thing going. They're not 7 games over 500, and they could manage the load of some of these guys like Kyle Lowry. I understand Lowry's been playing a lot of minutes, and that's what he gets paid to do. I mean, Lowry came here last year, signed a 3-year, $90 million contract. It's a lot of money. He should be playing every game. And if at his age he can't play every game, if at his age he needs to be load managed, the 2 worst words in sports, then he shouldn't be getting $30 million a year. He's not a $30 million a year player then. He certainly isn't by his production. And then when you add the production or subtract the production with he's not going to be able to play every day because of his age, how does he get $30 million a year? And I just don't understand. Okay, so it's a scheduled day off because he's been playing a lot of games. Once Jimmy Butler can't go, hey, Kyle, maybe we play tonight. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. The Heat are not in a position where they could be resting guys. And last night was an opportunity. Now, if Lowry plays last night to the Heat win, I don't know. But there's a bigger point here. The Heat are not in a position where they could rest guys. They're not in a position where, hey, we could take this game off because we're playing because our record is so good right now. Now you got Indiana coming on Friday, who's probably the best team. I mean, maybe Minnesota, who's probably the best team that you're going to see on this homestand. I don't know. What if the Heat now lose back-to-back games on this homestand? They're back under 500, and they've blown this homestand. I don't understand why Lowry can't play last night. The last game the Heat had was Saturday. Can't play on Tuesday? And you know, did Lowry even play on Saturday in Mexico City? I mean, I should know it off the top of my head. Did Lowry even play in Mexico City? Give me a second here. No. I know he's been playing. He's been playing a lot. He's been playing a lot of minutes. If he can't play a lot of minutes and he can't play a lot of games, why are they paying him $30 million a year? And I just feel like some type of adjustment has to be made when Jimmy gets to shoot around yesterday morning and he's got diarrhea. Hey, Kyle, maybe you play tonight. Maybe you play through it. I understand Caleb Martin's hurt. He's got an ankle injury. And especially considering Gabe Vincent's missed like the last 10 games. Yeah, Kyle, we kind of need you to suit up, man. Let's go. It's so disappointing. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. So, Oladipo and Strus were brutal last night. I don't understand why once Jimmy is out, why Lowry can't play. And just in general, the load management, the not, the resting because you played too many minutes, whoever it is. Like, I was glad to find out Jimmy had diarrhea because it doesn't make sense for Jimmy not to play. That makes sense. They're not in a position to have guys sitting out. And it's not why they lost. They lost because they couldn't hit threes. Like, Max Strus and Oladipo need to hit threes. And the Heat's defense stinks with or without those guys. Although, Butler obviously helps. But it's frustrating not to capitalize on this win streak and this homestand. So, okay, now you're in a position where you got to win the final 3 games on this homestand to have a winning homestand. If they go just 2-1 in these 3 games, it's a 2-2 homestand. It's a major missed opportunity. So, again, Indiana, Minnesota, Los Angeles Lakers, they're going to be without Anthony Davis. Oh, look at that. We got Amber on my television. That's right. We're recording ZASLOW Show 2.0 right now, and our girl Amber Wilson and her new partner, that's Joe Fortenbaugh. They are filling in on Briny right now. This would be the only time I ever watch Briny. I mean, what a bore that show definitely is, but not when Amber is hosting. So we got Amber and Joe, although I think the show is going to be called Joe and Amber, and they're starting on January 3rd, weeknights on ESPN Radio. But they are filling in right now on Briny. So you're listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0 right now, and then when you're done, you can get my former other half there. They probably got a podcast. I don't know what Breeny's got going on. Or you can watch it on demand on that ESPN Plus app, which I'm watching her right now. There you have it. Keep me updated on everything that's going on. So what else is going on? What else happened as far as the NBA goes last night? Light night overall in the association, but still a few things that we got to go over here. By the way, got some stuff on Bradley Chubb coming up on the show today. We'll get to a little bit of that. Dolphins, of course, we are, four sleeps away from Christmas Day. You're going to wake up Christmas Day like, yes, Dolphins, Packers, going to kick the shit out of them. Let's go. So, a few days away from that. I got some Bradley Chubb stuff for you here. He was on the Voncast. Von Miller's got a podcast, the Voncast. And Bradley Chubb had some interesting stuff to say, so we'll get that for you coming up here in a little bit. So, otherwise in the NBA last night, the Knicks have won 8 in a row, man. The Knicks crushed the Warriors 132-94. And you know what? I got to tell you, we got to be fair. You could have been critical. I'm pretty sure I was about not the Jalen Brunson signing, but how much money they gave Jalen Brunson. Like, does Jalen Brunson actually move the needle? Or are the Knicks any better because they got Jalen Brunson now? And the answer to that is yes. Like, the Knicks have won 8 in a row now. They're 18-13. That's a very good record. And Jalen Brunson is having a very good year for them. Very good year. So, Brunson last night at 21 for the season. Jalen Brunson is averaging, let's see here. He's averaging 21 points and 6 assists per game. He shoots 47% overall. He's a good player. And he's probably going to be an all-star. So you got to give a little credit there. So the Knicks won 8 in a row. The Warriors are terrible. I told you, I'm using hyperbole, but I don't know how the Warriors are going to win any games while Steph Curry's out. You know they're not going to win a road game. They're 3-15 on the road. They lose by 38 last night on TNT to the Knicks. They stink. I mean, what, Draymond couldn't lead them? I mean, Draymond Green asking for max contract. 7 points last night, 5 rebounds. Give me a break. That team stinks without Steph Curry. The Wizards, they end it. This is a bad loss for the Suns. The Suns are not playing well right now. It's a bad loss. The Wizards snap a 10-game losing streak with a 113-110 win at the Phoenix Suns. That's a very bad loss. And as far as the top of the Western Conference goes, the Nuggets beat the Grizzlies last night. Obviously, John Morant. Was John Morant out last night? I feel like I saw him on the bench last night. Let me check real quick. Was John Morant out? No, Ja played. He had 35 points. All right. So, even more impressive. The Nuggets beat the Grizzlies last night, 105-91. Big story there. Nikola Jokic becomes like the 3rd player ever with a 13-13-13 line. And he actually had exactly 13 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists. Becomes the 3rd player ever, I believe, to do that. Joins pretty good company. Pretty good. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Pretty good company. And now you look, I told you the Western Conference top 6 is wild. And you look at the Western Conference top now, Denver, 1st place. Denver and Memphis are both 19-11, first and second place. So that's essentially what took place in the NBA last night. Those are the big stories there. The Knicks have won 8 in a row. The Wizards snap a 10-game skid, and the Nuggets get an historic kind of night from Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets are now in first place in the Western Conference. There you have it. Hey, if you guys aren't feeling well, I've told you this before, Doctors on Call 365. I've had Doctors on Call 365 come to my house twice over the last month. Once for me to test me for COVID and the flu. Once for my son to test him for strep. And that's right, Dr. Alon and his team at Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. They will come to your home. You don't have to try and squeeze in an appointment at your doctor. You got 102 fever. They tell you, okay, we could see you in 2 weeks from now. No, I need someone right now. Doctors on Call 365 comes to your home. You need IV fluids, you need vitamin therapy, you need blood drawn. He will write and order prescription for you right there in your home. DoctorsOnCall365.com. Now look, there's self-pay, but most insurances, they're charging emergency room copays and fees for urgent care visits that are going to surpass what you're going to pay out of pocket for Doctors on Call 365 to come to your home. And the convenience, for me, can't put a price on it. DoctorsOnCall365.com, 786-577-9302. That's 786-577-9302.